Our next two wines are also taking great stories of the Valpolicella appellation in Veneto, near Verona. And the story today on the market of Valpolicella is really of an amazing success worldwide, because especially Valpolicella Ripasso, but also Amarone, is one of the best-selling wines anywhere in the world. The appellation is growing, it's making billions of euros. But then you have families who really emphasize making wine in the more historical style, and that's for me very interesting, and it's the interest of these two Amarones that we are tasting now. The first is your number 19, so it's CA LA BIONDA Ravazzol, vintage 2012, a hot vintage, a dry vintage, very highly rated, very interesting wines, easy to approach in their youth. I'm positive about their development, their aging potential, because the structure and concentration is there. So we have a wine, just to remind everybody, made from dried grapes, essentially from raisins or semi-raisined grapes. They dry for about 3 months. The minimum is, I think, 90 days. But for traditional estates, it's a bit longer, usually until February, January, February. And you lose about 40 to 50% of the mass before you press, and then you press the wine, and it ferments very slowly. Of course, very high alcohol, potential alcohol. Some Amarones can have a bit of residual sugar because the fermentation will stop, or producers want it to stop, because of course it's the trick of making slightly sweeter Amarone today. Not the case with CA LA BIONDA or Meroni, the two producers that we have here. These ones are purely traditional. And for me, the interest of this wine is that we live in an age of immediate wines. We want wines for immediate consumption. At best, if it's the latest vintage, that's especially true for white wines. Aging is not really a proposition. Even very good restaurants don't really have the space to age the wines. Producers, they don't have the money to age the wine. So this becomes one of the problems. The other problem is that we are obsessed with alcohol. I don't know about your countries, I wish you luck, but in Poland it is a disaster. Alcohol is going to be completely forbidden very soon, I'm sure. So a wine that has 16% alcohol, or even a bit more in the case of this vintage, I think, it's very hard to propose. And if people come to the restaurant and you give them a wine with 16%, they are just going to run away. Some of them want to drive back home, even if they don't tell you when they book a table. So the miracle of good Amarone for me is that the wine manages to taste really light and really balanced, despite having the highest dry extract in the world of red wine, because it's 45 or more. The highest alcohol of any normal wine, apart from Primitivo, sometimes a bit of sugar, a lot of oak aging, so there is a bit of oxidation. So this is not a wine that we Burgundy lovers should normally like, okay? The Pinot Noir collectors among us, so we are not supposed to be enjoying this style, but it's great. When it's well made, it's really a fantastic wine. So for me, it's the miracle that something not supposed to be happening is really happening well. And it's thanks to producers like CA LA BIONDA, because commercial Amarone is one of the really bad wines in this world. If you go to the supermarket and you buy a 10 euro bottle of Amarone, it is going to be all the bad things that I mentioned and not a single nice thing. So, lovely wine, and my special thanks go to those two producers for still using the forbidden grape variety Molinara that everybody is now uprooting, because it is giving essentially a rosé wine. But in the old times it was used to add a little bit of acidity and a little bit of finesse to the Amarone and Valpolicella. So big commercial wineries, they are eliminating Molinara, and they are campaigning for Molinara to be taken out of the rules for Valpolicella. But the traditional producers will still use some.